Coming up on the next episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
Since 1915, Hope Ministries has been helping people experiencing homelessness, hunger, abuse, and addiction. They offer their services freely to all who come, hoping to get support in hopes of a brighter future. Find out more about this amazing organization and how you can help. Coming up today on Zuzu All Grown Up.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
You're now listening to Zuzu All Grown Up.
She's been featured in more than 20 films from the early days of film and television.
He is a psychotherapist and her loving husband.
Together, they are on a mission to brighten your day and your life.
It's a time to smile, a time to laugh, a time to expect more.
It's time to get inspired with your hosts, Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunel.
It's time to meet Zuzu, all grown up.
Do you believe that life is wonderful in principle, but for some reason just isn't so consistently in practice? Every life will have its ups and downs. But have you ever thought that if there were only more people around you encouraging, uplifting, and even inspiring you, then life would be more fulfilling? If only people like George and Mary Bailey were in your inner circle, then life could truly be wonderful all the time? If so, we've got good news for you, because you can find such people on this podcast and at zuzunetwork.com. This podcast is the vision of Karolyn Grimes, Zuzu, and Dr. Chris Brunel, illustrating how the timeless message of It's a Wonderful Life can be and is applied to our modern lives and situations. Indeed, when you take that message to heart, your life will become immeasurably more wonderful. Visit us at zuzunetwork.com and listen to this podcast series to learn more about how. Now sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy another episode of Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Get ready for miracles. Get ready for Zuzu. All Grown Up.
Today, we are joined by Coady and our friend from the festival, Shannon Shepherd, here to tell us more about the good work that Hope Ministries is doing in central Iowa. Kathy and Shannon, welcome. Karolyn, over to you.
Today, I am joined by Coady, the Chief Development Officer for Hope Ministries, and Shannon Shepherd, a longtime dedicated Hope Ministries volunteer. I met Shannon many years ago, well, not many, just a few, right before COVID at the It's a Wonderful Life Festival in Seneca Falls, New York. I'm just thrilled today to talk to you again and to learn about and expose to the world your wonderful charity that you are a part of, and you help the homeless. You do so many wonderful things to help people survive. You want to tell me something about it?
So we've been part of the Des Moines community, Des Moines, Iowa, since 1915. And we have been serving our neighbors who are homeless, hungry, abused, or addicted. So we do that through a whole variety of services. And it starts with meeting those essential needs, helping people with free meals, with immediate safe shelter. And then it can work into, and our prayer is that oftentimes it does work into a man or woman saying, I don't want to continue living this way. I want something more. And to regain that hope and experience healing and restoration, we have Christ-centered life recovery programs that are up to a year for men and up to 2 full years for women and moms with children. Very comprehensive. And we work with them to truly transform their lives and to really understand and work through the issues that brought them to the place of homelessness or the low point in their lives that brought them to us. So all of our services are completely free. We're 100% privately funded, and that's why and how we can share the love of Jesus in everything that we do. And we could not do our ministry at all without wonderful volunteers like Shannon, who give so selflessly of their time and their talents to come alongside us and be the hands and feet of Jesus.
So do you feel like it's a kind of an honor to be a part of this association?
I'm just one little cog in this whole giant organization, and it takes many of us, takes hundreds of volunteers to be the hands and feet of Jesus and to try and accomplish what the ministry sets out to do. And it's just a little bit at a time. And it just starts with kindness and doing everything in love. If you're not doing it with that heart, you probably just need to take a step back and wonder what you're doing it for. It has to be with a heart of love. We're putting action to our words. We say we want to help, but you have to be the hands and feet of Jesus, so you have to put it into action.
Well, you have a lot of entities that operate under the name of Hope Ministries. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Our granddaddy is Bethel Mission. So that is our men's shelter. And that is the part of our organization that started in 1915. And then in the late 1960s, another Christ-centered nonprofit named the Door of Faith started operating in Des Moines, helping homeless men. In the late 1990s, the leaders of both organizations said, hey, we're both trying to help build men up and share the love of Jesus. And you do some things really well, and you do some things really well. And what if we come together? So that's what happened. And in the year 2000, we became Hope Ministries with the merger of Bethel Mission and Door of Faith. So we've retained those names. And Bethel Mission is now our men's shelter, so where men start their journey with us. And Door of Faith is our men's life recovery center. So those men who are investing up to a year's worth of time to be part of our life recovery program stay at the Door of Faith. And then we have our Hope Center for Women and Children. And this is a really fun, exciting time for that part of our ministry, because we actually 20 years ago started serving women and children in our current location, where we can help 30 to 35 at the very most women and children because of our space available and the requirements of where we're located. And the need in our community is so much greater than that. And routinely, we have to turn away women and children who are in need of help right away. So we have been able to start a years-long process, and we're building a new expanded center for women and children, going to allow us to serve 100 women and children. So it's going to triple our capacity, where on the men's side, we can serve about 200 men through our 2 locations. We're going to have similar capacity now to serve women and children also. Our 2 Hope Ministries thrift stores bring needed revenue into our organization to support our programs and services. And that's also a place where men and women in life recovery can do some job training. So as part of their journey of recovery, they do some job training. And for many of the men and women, that might mean some work in the thrift stores. Others work at Hope Cafe, serving meals alongside wonderful volunteers like Shannon, and do other things as well. And then as they progress, then they seek and obtain outside employment as well.
How is this operation funded?
We are 100% privately funded. So we are funded by literally thousands of individuals and families, and to a lesser extent, organizations and churches who come alongside us and believe in our mission and choose to be part of it. We won't accept any funding that would compromise our Christ-centered mission. So that excludes us from a lot of government funding, for example. On the other hand, it gives us the freedom to also share the love of Jesus. So we are incredibly blessed that God has provided for our needs for all of these years through faithful partners.
In addition to sheltering, you provide free meals 3 times daily to anyone who's in need. Last year, you provided 189,738 free meals. Shannon, can you tell me how you got involved in this area?
I actually started back when Door of Faith was a separate entity back in the late 1980s. I was attending a church at the time, and the director of Door of Faith was doing a Saturday night meals ministry out of the back of a van through the really rough areas of Des Moines, flop houses, street where there was a lot of prostitution, going under bridges, just trying to provide a hot meal for some desperate folks. That's how I got started. I think I've always had meals as a beginning, because how can you think of anything else to improve your life if you're just so concerned of where your next meal is going to come from? You're hungry, maybe not well in days or weeks, and here's the opportunity. Somebody's coming around in a well-recognized van and pulling up, and we're serving chicken and beans or hot dogs and potato chips out of the back of a van, and it's just come up, and people would just throng to the van until the food was gone. And the director, Andy Bales, he did not let us, the volunteers, out of the van because he had the relationship with the folks. He did not want to put any of the volunteers in danger. So he would go inside the abandoned homes with some meals, or he would walk under the bridges because these people knew him. There was a little bit of safety, but it was also some familiarity for the folks that saw him and saw that he was bringing a meal. So that was how that all started with me. And then, as Kathy said, Door of Faith and Bethel combined and became part of the Hope Ministries umbrella. And then somewhere in there, I kind of waxed and waned a little bit. I had a really demanding career at the time. And then I was still working with some things, but they were not quite as involved as I am now that I'm retired. Shortly after the 2000s and probably after 2010, I got re-involved, and I got involved with Hope Ministries. I took the Hope 101 class to become an official M25 volunteer, got involved with the Hope Cafe, got involved with the Encore Thrift. So I was kind of doing dual duty, got involved with legacy planning, just really threw myself heart and soul into it because it was really where my heart was, just getting food in your belly. And then we can work on getting resources. Around 2000, the church that I am currently attending moved to a new location, and I started the food pantry at the church. And I just make sure that there's inventory and we're rotating stock, and it's the Lord's food pantry. It's not mine. I just kind of keep it organized. It's just where my heart's been. And I just think it starts with that, and trying to meet that physical need first, which is, goes back to the M25 motto, which is based out of Matthew 25 verses 35 and 36, which says, when I was hungry, you gave me food. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was naked, you put clothes on my back. When I was in prison, you came to see me. It just wasn't words. It was action to it.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
Start your morning right with premium coffee roasts available at ZuzuNetwork.com and drink them in your Zuzu All Grown Up coffee mug. Also perfect for tea and hot chocolate.
Stay inspired throughout the day with the same gratitude journal used by Karolyn and Chris, and check out t-shirts, hats, books, Christmas keepsakes, and more at ZuzuNetwork.com/shop.
Join Zuzu's network today at ZuzuNetwork.com/join.
Karolyn is creating an international network of aspiring angels, everyday people who believe that they can help make the world a better place by making life better for even just one other person.
Let us know you want to earn your wings at ZuzuNetwork.com/join, and Karolyn and Chris will send you inspirational material to support you in your journey.
We're back with more Zuzu All Grown Up.
Well, during COVID, things kind of subsided a little bit for security purposes and safety for everybody involved. And then I just went to work directly into the Hope Cafe, which is where we serve both the residents and then our community every day, 3 times a day. And then we have our special meals outreaches during the holidays. And I love it. I love every minute of it. I volunteer 3 to 4 times a month. It's just where my heart is.
Karolyn, we have fantastic volunteers, but Shannon is truly one of our most amazing partners in ministry in so many ways. And I get to interact with Shannon, not at Hope Cafe on a daily basis when she's helping serve meals, but I've worked with Shannon for several holidays. So at Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, we deliver meals out into the community. So those are really big days for us. That's how I got to know and love Shannon. And she can see what needs to be done, and she jumps in and does what needs to be done. And it's pretty awesome.
Can you remember any particular individual or time that is so poignant from a memory that you helped someone that were really needing it? And can you share how that moment went?
Must have been 2023. And I was actually doing roll bagging for the meals outreach the next day, but you have to get those rolls in the baggies a day ahead of time so they're ready to go. And we're doing like 3,500 rolls. So it's a lot of, opening up a Ziploc bag, putting a roll in, closing the Ziploc bag, throwing it into the big container. And there's like 6 of us or so that are doing it. We were finishing up. We were kind of running into the residents coming in to eat because we were working in the Hope Cafe between meals. And there was a gentleman that had come up that was coming in from the community, and he was living out of an old taxi cab. That was his home. And he came in and he did not know where he was going. And I was kind of wrapping up things, trying to get things out of the way because they were getting ready to serve the community. They had just served the residents. So I was just kind of giving him direction because I think it also happened to be my serving night at Hope Cafe. He just said things had just kind of gone sideways in his life. He didn't have an addiction problem. I think he had a job issue. He had come from California in this old yellow cab. He just didn't know what to do. And I said, well, have you been around to the front office and everything? And he said, no. And I said, well, why don't you get a meal? And I said, and then I will walk you around, because I wanted to make it personal. But I sat down with him when he had his meal because he was obviously looking for something. He didn't know what direction to go. He was a very kind man. I didn't feel threatened. I think that was one reason why I felt comfortable doing it. And it turned out we didn't have any beds. I think he had to wait 24 hours before there was going to be a bed available. So he was able to park in the back parking lot of Hope. And I think he stayed in his car. And then the next morning, he began the intake process. And then I think I had 2 days in a row where for some reason I was serving, or maybe the next day was the outreach. I think that was it. The next day was our meals outreach for Easter. And he came through as a resident for his meal. And he recognized me, called me by name. I still to this day remember his name. His name is Steve. And then he just became a resident for a short period until he got a job lined up, but it was a safe harbor for him. And then he was just always so friendly. He made me sound like I did something, and really, I think he did something for me. I stepped out of my comfort zone. Not that I'm ever afraid. I'm cautious sometimes, but I just wanted to see him start a new path. And hopefully he saw love and hope in my kind words to him. I don't think I've ever forgotten that. I remember him telling me he had found a place to live. He had a steady job and he was going to be leaving Hope. He was around for a few months. That was really wonderful to see that.
I just wonder, when children are involved in homelessness, is that extra special effort that you make to find some shelter for them?
Yes, there are youth programs in the community that we would refer to and work with. But when moms come to us, one of the reasons that our life recovery program can be up to 2 full years for moms with children is that when those moms come to us, they might be DHS involved and they might not have custody of their children because of past life experiences and choices and circumstances. We work very closely with mom and her whole team because there are oftentimes 8 to 12 different individuals involved in that child's care and in the court process and advocates, and it's very complicated. And for good reason. First and foremost, we want those children to be safe. And so we will work with mom. And when mom is in a safe and stable place herself and can parent those children, then we will help her. Our case managers walk right alongside the men and women that we serve and will help them through that process. And we are so excited when we see moms and children restored and those relationships restored. And we see that happen on the men's side as well. But when those moms and kids are restored, it's such a beautiful thing. And then with those kids, if mom's in, for example, active addiction, or she's in an abusive relationship, she can't adequately parent those kids. And they've had to step up and take on parental responsibilities, and they might be 7 or 8 years old. And so when they come to Hope Center, they get to be kids, and we make sure that they can play and they can do age appropriate things, and they have fun outings to go on, and they can go to summer camp. So there's a lot of beautiful things that can happen for those kids. And in fact, we have a great relationship with one of the private Christian schools in Des Moines, and we can offer scholarship tuitions. So those kids, they are well established in a home neighborhood school, and they want to continue at that school, they absolutely can do that. If they want to be part of Joshua Christian Academy, an organization that we partner with, we help to make that happen. So yes, caring for those kids, we actually have staff members who are children's advocates, and that is their job, and their sole focus is the well-being and the healing of those kids.
I got to tell you, I kind of see some little nubbins on your backs because you're growing your wings. Especially, I want to say thank you because I was orphaned, and I know that it's pretty rough when you're into the world all by yourself. Especially today, it's harder because you can't get a job that will really necessarily, if you don't have an education, pay for your lodging and your food and everything. And that's where you're able to help these people. And I think that is just remarkable.
I count it as a great privilege that God allows me to be a little part of this ministry.
Feels good, doesn't it?
It does.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
To find out more about the organization featured in today's episode or a previous episode, and to learn more about how you can help, go to zuzunetwork.com/beanangel.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Have you heard? Affordable healthcare is better than ever. And right now there are more carriers and plans to choose from. If you're between 18 and 64 years old with a household income of $25,000 or less, this message is for you. Right now, the government's Affordable Care Act is available for individual and family health coverage plans with little to no cost to you. Don't gamble your health. Call Health Care for All. 70% of callers qualify for a zero-cost healthcare coverage. See if you are one of them. Call now. Our agents are standing by to help you get the health insurance plan you and your family needs and deserves. If you're uninsured or struggling to afford your current health insurance, help is just a phone call away. This is not Medicaid or Medicare. This is the marketplace with the largest selection of healthcare plans from the Affordable Care Act. To find a plan that's right for you, call 800-788-2406. That's 800-788-2406.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and don't have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you don't pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call if you've been injured in an auto accident. Call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312. 800-348-7312.
Auto Accident Help Desk.
Zuzu's book club features recommendations from Zuzu herself on books she loves and thinks you will love also. All of the books that the club reads, fiction and nonfiction, are inspirational and uplifting. Folks, this is a life-enhancing club to be part of. You can sign up for free at zuzunetwork.com/book club. That's zuzunetwork.com/book club.
This is Zuzu, all grown up.
So we have substance abuse counselor on staff who works with the men and women, certified abuse counselor, but also depending on the level of active addiction that someone is struggling with, there are occasions where we say, we're not a drug treatment facility and you might need to go somewhere else for 30 days and we'll help make that happen. We'll put you on a bus, we'll help make that happen and then come back. But many of the men and women who come to us, majority, are struggling with addiction. In fact, we've measured this over a 5-year period, and it's over half struggle with alcohol addiction and over 2/3 with drug abuse. That withdrawal process, it's very difficult for them, and getting stabilized is very difficult for them. When men are staying with us in shelter, and this will be true on our women's side as well, when we're in our new center where we can provide immediate same-day help, they do not have to be clean and sober. They can come in under the influence and have a safe place to stay as long as they're not a danger to themselves or other people. So if they can conduct themselves in a safe manner, they're welcomed in. But to choose to be part of our Christ-centered life recovery programs, they are expected to be clean and sober at all times. And that's true for the men and the women. So there's random drug testing done, there's breathalyzing being done, and that is an expectation. Well, there's many benefits, obviously, of that. But one of the great ones is when a man has come through, for example, a year-long life recovery program, our staff can say to potential employers, he's been clean and sober for the past year, and we can verify that with pretty high accuracy. And that's a level of comfort that you don't know about 95% of your job applicants who are coming in. But certainly, it's a messy business. We're all broken people. The people that we serve are also broken, but some of the things that they're struggling with are a lot harder than some of the things that I'm struggling with. So there certainly are times where somebody has to leave our care because they're using or because they've relapsed. But we're in the business of second chances, and we don't ever say to somebody, you can't ever come here again. We welcome them back in when they're ready to try again.
I know how awkward and hard that can be a lot of times. Like I say, you got your wings already.
Well, we had a very beloved staff member for many years. He's gone on to heaven now. But one of the sayings that is well known around here that I think Pastor Fred originated was, I love you, brother, but you've got to go. You have to step out, but I still love you. So get it together and come back.
Can you tell me what is a growing need in your community and your expansion of women and children's services?
Part of that is a need that's been around for years. We have experienced in Des Moines that for several years, and Hope Ministries has been actively working toward this expansion since 2017. So it's been in process for a while. When we started keeping track of how many women are we having to turn away every month, it was around 100 women every month that we were having to say, I'm so sorry, we don't have any space for you. And there are a couple of other small organizations that they can turn to in Des Moines, but not very many. So that need has been present for many years. However, what we've seen even more in the past year is just the overall need for people struggling in poverty or just food insecurity. So Shannon can attest to this. So our meal numbers are way, way up at Hope Cafe. So we have lots more people who need help to fill in those gaps in their budget or get to the next paycheck. We have lots more men coming to us as well for shelter because we have a little bit more flexibility there, and we can, when our 110 beds are filled at the men's shelter, we'll even put out mats in the day room, and men can sleep on mats. Most nights we have more than 110 men in the building. So we have seen that the last couple of years since COVID. I think there are just more people struggling. I think there's lasting social impact and a lasting emotional trauma that some people just haven't really bounced back from. We are very blessed. So we get lots of food donations, and our meal cost would be much, much higher without them. So those have decreased a little bit in the last 12 months. Again, I think just because there were some businesses, like our head chef Lewis has said, there might have been businesses who were willing to make extra just in case they had a super busy day, and they're not making extra anymore because they don't want to invest anything that they don't need to. So by virtue of that, there are fewer leftovers coming to us at Hope Cafe, but our cooks do an amazing job of balancing the food donations that come in. We can provide warm, hearty meals to however many people show up, so nobody's going to get turned away hungry. They always have a good meal, but it might be more than one thing. It might be, we're going to use this, and then when this is gone, we're going to serve this, and they're very flexible about it. But we couldn't do what we do without great partnerships. So we can purchase food oftentimes times what is available. We can purchase, for example, through a food bank at a nonprofit rate. So a can of beans that, might cost me $1 at the grocery store might cost Hope Ministries 25 cents through the food banks, as an example. That allows us to stretch those dollars as well. So our costs have absolutely gone up and our food donations have come down, but they're still very significant and a big, big part of us being able to do our meals.
If anyone in our audience wants to be a donator or help in any way possible, I'm sure you would appreciate their donations. And how do they contact you for more information so they might be able to help?
So our website is hopeiowa.org. So hopeiowa.org, or our main phone number, if anybody has questions or wants to learn more, is 515-265-7272. 515-265-7272. Also, Karolyn, I would mention, just in case, there are folks listening who have somebody in their own family who's struggling or somebody that they care about. We're part of an organization called the Citygate Network, and that is Christ-centered missions across the country. And so, if somebody is in another state, I would encourage people to go online and look up Citygate Network, and you can find organizations in your state that are opportunities for help.
Well, that's some wonderful information. These kinds of things that no one actually knows about. You're all quiet, working in the background, helping people. We need to bring light on that and let people know that you're there helping, and that maybe they can help too by donating some funds and helping you do your job and give of yourselves like you have been doing for so long. I'm just very excited to have talked to you today. And I want to just say that anyone is listening, if you have a problem, reach out. That's the secret. Reach out for help. Just don't try to take it on by yourself, because I've seen a lot of people that have done that and it doesn't always work out. So there's always someone there to help you. You guys, Kathy and Shannon, I'm so happy to have met you today and seen you again. And I do hope that this mission continues to make your life shine. And I think it will. Thank you for joining me today. And you've been a blessing. You certainly lit up my life today.
It's certainly been our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shannon, it's so nice as always to see you. And Kathy, it's been a pleasure to get to know you today. You are truly doing God's work. Thank you for tuning in today. Find out more about how you can help at www.hopeiowa.org. That's www.hopeiowa.org, or on our website. I'll be right back with a final thought. You're listening to Zuzu, all grown up.
Do you know someone who is earning their wings? Someone practicing kindness and service to others? Perhaps an organization or initiative helping make the world we live in a kinder, sweeter place.
Or maybe you've witnessed the miraculous, the divine, the magnificent in some way in your life, and you'd like to share it with others. Go to zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory and let us know more.
You may end up being featured on an upcoming episode of Zuzu All Grown Up. That's zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory. Now here's Seth Kennedy with today's parting thoughts.
Hope Ministries and its leaders haven't tried to feed the entire world or save it. They started in their backyard. Even still, the task is monumental, but it's also manageable. A lot of people lament they can never change the world. The truth is, individually, they may be correct. They can't. However, if each of us can do our part wherever we find ourselves, we will create a groundswell of good deeds that will indeed change this world decisively for the better. Do what you can and support who you can, and see the difference you will make, and that each of us can make if we choose to. I'm Seth Kennedy. This has been Zuzu, all grown up.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Zuzu All Grown Up.
We hope you've been inspired to live your most wonderful life now and to help those around you do the same.
Remember, no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are, there are people who care about you, and your life makes a difference.
It is a wonderful life.
Check out zuzunetwork.com for more on today's and other episodes, including transcripts and merchandise you won't want to be without.
New episodes are coming soon.
For transcripts of today's broadcast, go to zuzunetwork.com/transcripts.
Watch a video clip of today's episode at www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. Then click on the Reels tab from the top of the center of the page. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up. Catch up on past episodes and discover currently premiering and upcoming episodes as well, and get helpful links and exclusive clips from our recordings. That's www.instagram.com/Zuzu, all grown up.
Zuzu All Grown Up with your hosts Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
Announcer and guide Seth Kennedy.
Executive producer Kevin R. Stillmock.
Coordinating producer Holly Ann Way.
Technical producer Stella Joelle.
Managing producer Karina Filatova. A Wonderful Land production.
In collaboration with Radio Wonderful.